Chapter 13. A persistent buzzing jerked Gabe awake. Fumbling in the dark, he reached across to his nightstand and grabbed his phone.
Gabe here.
He pushed himself up in bed and rubbed his eyes. Only family members and a few other important people had his private number. Good morning, Gabe. It's Max Harrison. Bracing himself, Gabe realized there could only be a few reasons Max was calling this morning, and none of them were good.
What's up, Max?
There's been another fire on Walker's Island.
What? Where?
Gabe did his best to keep his voice calm, but his heart raced with anxiety. Someone started a fire at the health spa location last night. Don't worry, the workers caught it and put the fire out. Gabe breathed a sigh of relief. But the damage is done, and the frame constructed for the health spa has been destroyed. Max's cool, detached voice helped calm the fear building in Gabe. Without a doubt, they needed to find the person responsible for causing these fires, and fast.
Did any of the workers see who did it?
Gabe had hired workers who came with great recommendations, but had he misplaced his trust in one of them? Was there a disgruntled worker who was expressing his anger through burning things down?
I asked around. No one saw who set the fire.
However, I looked through yesterday's videos from the hidden security cameras you added to the resort area. We found something. But we need both you and Rory to meet me at my office to view the video so we can get a better idea of who we're dealing with. Max's office was downtown Seattle, and Rory was still sleeping after a late night. He would need to wake her up. It couldn't be help.
Of course, Max. We'll be there in a few minutes.
Gabe hung up the phone and stepped into the hallway, staring at Rory's bedroom door. He didn't like disturbing her sleep, but this had to be done. With quiet movements, he stepped inside a room and stopped. His wife looked so peaceful lying there beneath the fluffy white comforter. Last night, when they came home, Rory had been standoffish, putting even more distance between them. They really needed to have that talk, but right now wasn't the right time. With gentle movements, Gabe shook her shoulders as he sat on the bed beside her.
Rory, I'm sorry, but you're going to need to wake up.
Before long, Rory opened her eyes and sat up in bed. Seeing him nearby, her eyes widened. What's up, Gabe? She rubbed sleepy eyes, trying to come awake. Gabe thought he'd never seen anyone more adorable. He wanted to kiss her, and if he were honest, he wanted much more, but that would have to wait.
Max phoned. Someone set fire to the health spa on the island. We need to hurry to Max's office to take a look at some surveillance videos.
Gabe could see Rory's eyes darting quickly down and then back up, and knew her thoughts were racing. Are my aunts okay?
Yes, and so are the workers.
They put the fire out. But you and I need to see this video footage. Maybe we'll be able to deal with this quickly. Gabe squeezed her hand and walked to the door before he turned. I'll be ready to go in 15 minutes, Gabe. He nodded, relieved that she understood him so well. Gabe hurried to shower and change, and they met each other in the kitchen almost at the same time. The drive to Max's office was quiet and a little tense. Gabe parked the car. Reaching over, he covered her hand with his.
It'll be okay, Rory. We'll figure out how to stop whoever is setting these fires and trying to scare us.
Thanks, Gabe. Rory's eyes brimmed with unshed tears. He leaned over and kissed her cheek, then got out of the car, hurrying to open her door and help her out. As they dashed up the stairs to the office, Max was there to greet them. Good, you're both here. Max looked over at his assistant. Darian, could you bring some coffees and meet us in the media room? Sure thing, Max.
Follow me, and we'll take a look at those videos.
Max led them into a large media room that held several computers. 3 large computer monitors spanned the back wall, and 2 of Max's assistants were working to get the video files up on the monitors. Max indicated chairs for them to sit down. His assistant walked into the room, handing them each coffees.
Okay, it looks like we're ready to go.
Max took a sip of his coffee and pointed to the screens.
These videos are from different security cameras that are located near the health spa. Look at the monitor on the far left.
The security video showed a man at a distance walking up to the health spa. All Gabe could see was the hat he wore and his jeans and t-shirt. He used a lighter to set fire to a piece of cloth and threw it onto the construction site. There isn't much that I can identify in that video. Gabe looked over at his wife. What do you think, Rory? The images look blurry to me. Is there another video that has a closer shot? Max spoke to his assistant. Yes, this next surveillance video will show the same man at a different angle. The video started playing. Notice that you can see his clothes in this shot. Gabe commented, Looking up close now, I see the t-shirt has the Portland State Vikings logo, but I still can't see his face. It looks like the man turned to look towards the camera. Could we zoom in closer to this guy and run the video in slow motion? Rory asked Max. Yes. Max's assistant ran the video again, but in slow motion, zooming in for a better look. Stop right there. Rory stood to her feet, her hands shaking. Gabe took the coffee cup from her hand and set it on the table. What is it, Rory? Who do you see? Gabe placed his arm around her shoulders and could feel her trembling body. On the monitor screen was a close-up of a male who looked to be around Rory's age. He was looking up, and they could see his face. This man looks like a younger version of my father. Rory's voice shook as she spoke. Do you have a cousin? Rory shook her head. No, but lately I've been reading my mother's diary. My mom wrote that she was fairly certain my dad's interest had drifted. That was about 3 years into their marriage. When were you born? My parents were married 5 years before I was born. Rory sucked in a breath, staring at the video screen, a hand over her mouth. Rory, do you think that this man might be your half-brother? Gabe rubbed his hand on her back, trying to calm her fears. I do. He looks so much like my dad. This man must be related to me, and it looks like he's close to my age. Rory looked at Max and then at Gabe. This whole investigation just got a little more personal. I'd like to meet him and talk to him. Max gave her a skeptical look. We're still not sure that he's your half-brother. No, I'm not completely sure yet. However, you did say that the DNA you found at the fire near the cottage was from a man named Ned Baxter? Yes, that's the name that came up in the database. Max nodded, his brows furrowed and hesitation in his voice. Well, my dad's name was Edward Shepard. Do you think this man might have chosen to go with the shortened form of Edward and call himself Ned? And maybe he decided to take his mother's last name? Rory folded her arms across her chest. Gabe nodded. I think my wife might have solved the case, Max. Max replied, Maybe, but I still don't know if it's a good idea to talk with this man. There's some reason he's been trying to scare you, Rory, and attack things that are personal to you. Max tried to reason with her. I know he probably has a personal vendetta against me, but I still want to talk to him before he's charged with anything. Can I do that? Max nodded. Sure thing. I'll get the information to the police in Oregon and let you know where you can find him. Thanks, Max. Gabe wasn't sure if Rory meeting her half-brother was a good idea, especially since they were fairly certain he was responsible for setting the fires and scaring Rory and her aunts. Still, if she wanted to do this, Gabe was determined he would be right by her side to protect her. He couldn't let anyone else hurt his wife. Rory sat beside Gabe, her hands fidgeting on her lap. They were in one of the private meeting rooms at the police station in Portland, Oregon. Gabe and her had flown to the city right after Rory had delivered her skincare products to the clients at the market. The police hadn't taken very long at all to capture Ned Baxter. Max assured her that she could meet with him today. I can't believe we're here, and I get to meet a half-brother I never knew I had. Rory turned to Gabe, still thinking the whole thing was unbelievable. Gabe placed his hands on hers. Remember, he is the same guy who set those fires and tried to harm you, Rory. I know, but I still want to meet him and talk with him. Didn't Gabe understand? She never had any brothers or sisters growing up. Now she was finally meeting a half-brother she never knew she had. Well, you'll get your chance soon, but I'm not going anywhere. I will be right by your side to protect you." Gabe squeezed her hand lightly, his blue eyes filled with compassion and warmth. "Thank you, Gabe. I appreciate that." Without warning, the door to the room opened and a guard brought a young man into the room. Handcuffs were on his wrists and a sullen expression on his face. He sat down in front of them and his eyes narrowed as he stared at Gabe and Rory. She realized this would not be an easy conversation. "Are you Ned Baxter?" "Yes." Obviously, getting answers from him would be like finding a needle in a haystack, a prod here and a dab there. "I'm Rory Shepard." "I know who you are." "You look so much like my father. I believe you might be my half-brother." Nervously, she pulled at her sleeves, waiting for his response. "Yeah, so? Didn't want a brother messing up your life, eh?" Rory gave him a small smile. "Actually, I very much want a brother in my life. I was by myself growing up and very lonely. I always dreamed of being part of a bigger family." His eyes flickered with a little more interest, but he stayed silent. "So, I need to ask you an important question, Ned. Did you set both fires on Walker's Island, the one by the cottage and the other by the health spa?" After a few moments, he answered, "Yeah, I did. I was just having a little fun." Rory leaned closer, feeling more confident after witnessing true emotion when she talked of family. "I think it was more than that, Ned. Please tell me the real reason you wanted to harm me and my aunts and Gabe here." For a few moments he was silent, and then like a waterspout being turned on, his words gushed out. "I didn't want to harm you. I just wanted to scare you. You always had everything so easy, Rory. Dad was always home for you, at least until the house fire. But me, I got the leftovers. Dad would visit once every 6 months, until finally he didn't show up at all. It's like my mom and me weren't worth his time anymore. No, instead my dad had to go back to his Princess Rory." "So you just decided one day that you needed to get your revenge, Ned?" Ned stared at her for a moment, and then said, "No, it was actually suggested to me by my mom's friend, Mallory Murphy. She's your aunt, I think? She hinted that I should scare you a little. Doing that might help me to feel better, knowing that my half-sister was getting a little of what she deserved." "My Aunt Mel said that? Her name hasn't been mentioned by my 3 aunts for years." Rory was troubled by this new information. She decided to leave it there and ask her aunts later. "Please go on, Ned." He took a breath and kept going. "I wanted to take away those things that you loved because you took away my dad, the person I loved. Ironically, even on the day he died, he was celebrating your life, your birthday, not mine." "I'm sorry, Ned. I never knew." Tears brimmed over in Rory's eyes and slipped down her cheeks. This was a brother she had never even knew existed. "It doesn't change the past," Ned replied. "No, but it could change the future," Rory commented. "How do you figure that? They have me here in handcuffs. I'll probably be locked away for a long time." "Maybe that can change. If you promise you won't ever set fires again on Walker's Island, I will ask the police to lessen the charges against you. I will ask them to lower it to a minor offense and community service." Gabe turned to Rory, his brows furrowed in worry. "What are you doing, Rory?" She interrupted him. "This is the right thing to do, Gabe. I feel it with everything in me." Gabe nodded slowly without saying a word. "Why would you let me off so easily, Rory?" Ned's eyes flickered with a little bit of hope, but the skepticism remained. "For a couple of reasons. First, you are my brother and my own flesh and blood. My dad would want me to do this. Second, because I know what it's like to be treated like you're a second-class citizen. When I would go take swimming lessons at the small town near the island, I was always teased by other kids. They called me the dumb island girl who only had animal friends, not people." Rory stopped when she realized she was probably sharing too much. Yet she was encouraged to see Ned's eyes had lit up and the corners of his mouth turned up a little.
"All right, I'll agree to your rules." Ned expelled a breath and continued. "And I'm sorry for setting those fires and for scaring you, Rory. I won't set any more fires on Walker's Island."
"I appreciate you saying that, Ned." Rory stood up with Gabe at her side. "And once you've completed community service and proven you can be trusted, maybe I can help you get set up with something you want to do." Ned nodded, a curious furrow forming between his brows.
"That'd be all right."
Standing, she nodded. "We'll see you later, Ned." Rory talked more to the police, asking them to lower the charges against Ned. After they finished at the police station, they headed back to Gabe's plane. As the plane took off, the sun was starting to set, and Rory was tired but happy. There was a little more hope for her brother. Hopefully Ned would see this as a fresh start and begin to turn things around in his life. Seated across from each other, Gabe still eyed her, a lingering question in his gaze. "You look like you have questions, Gabe."
"I do. I realize Ned is your half-brother, but I just hope we're doing the right thing by letting him off so easily."
Gabe rubbed the back of his neck, concern in his eyes. "I know it might not seem like the right thing, but I have a gut feeling about this, Gabe. I think Ned just needs another chance."
"If you would have died in one of those fires that your brother set, you wouldn't have had a second chance," Gabe reasoned.
"No, you're right, I wouldn't have. But it didn't get that far."
"I just want to protect you, Rory, but I can't if you make decisions that might not be wise."
"But we don't know that right now, Gabe. It might be a great decision." Rory thought for a moment of her conversation with Gabe's mother. "Are you extra protective of me because of what happened years ago to your friend Billy?"
"Who told you about Billy?"
Gabe asked. "Your mother did when we were at the spa the other day. She mentioned how you tried to protect and save him. Your mom described him as too naive, trusting, and simple about the ways of the world. Your mom said Billy just went along with those popular guys at school who were daring him to jump into those dangerous waters because he wanted to be popular and fit in too."
"Yes, he was. I tried, but Billy didn't listen to me, and he died."
"I'm sorry that happened to your friend, Gabe. I really am."
"Yeah, well, sometimes those you really want to protect are the ones that end up dying."
"Not always, Gabe." Her husband's blue eyes were shadowed, but he stayed silent. "Your mother shared with me how innocent and trusting Billy was."
"Yeah, that's true, he was."
Suddenly all of Rory's fears came back, that she wasn't good enough to be Gabe Stevenson's wife. What Maddie Winslow had said at the gala was true. She was a simple island girl who didn't fit in. "Billy was sort of like me." Rory's voice wavered, looking down at hands that shook on her lap for a moment, before she looked over at her husband again.
"You? How do you mean?" Gabe glanced up, surprised. "I thought we were talking about my friend Billy."
"Yes, we were. But don't you see the similarity between your childhood friend and me?" Rory steadied herself suddenly, needing to hear what her husband had to say. Gabe looked taken aback.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard."
"Is it? Then tell me, Gabe, why did you marry someone like me? A lonely island girl who is naive and simple and with no sophistication or culture. You could have married someone else who was better for you, more beautiful, more elegant, and had more knowledge of your world."
"My world? What does that mean?"
Rory expelled a breath she'd been holding. "You know, like at the gala last night. People that have class, who are wealthy, and have a lot of knowledge and experience about how those things should be done, properly." Gabe shook his head and sent her a small smile.
"Rory, if truth be told, many of those people are just real good at looking sophisticated on the outside, when on the inside they are really struggling."
"Well, maybe that's true. But my point is, you could have married someone with more beauty and class who wasn't naive like I was. So why didn't you marry a woman like that?"
"Well, all the other women were superficial. You've always been honest and real about what you needed and who you were, Rory. I've always liked that about you. And you wanted to protect me and rescue me from whoever was setting those fires. Rory realized the part about her needing Gabe to protect her from the person setting the fires wasn't true anymore. They had found the guy responsible. Yes, I did want to protect you, Rory. I still do, Gabe spoke quietly. Maybe, but you still could have married someone who was better for you, Gabe. Someone who understands how to do everything properly and to be the wife of a man who has the influence and fame you have. I don't care about all that, Rory. I just wanted to do the right thing and be helpful to you. This may surprise you, Gabe Stevenson, but I care. I have never wanted you to feel sorry for me. Just because I'm the island girl who is poor and unsophisticated compared to the women friends you're used to dating doesn't mean that I need your charity. Rory wrapped her arms around herself, feeling a sudden chill. Rory, I didn't marry you because I felt sorry for you. You are my friend. I care about you and I want to protect you. She looked out the window of the airplane, swallowing back the frustration she felt. Her hands balled into a fist under the table. Well, now it looks like I don't need protection anymore. Now that we know who is behind the fires, you don't need to save me anymore, Gabe. What are you saying, Rory? I'm saying maybe it's time we go back to our original agreement. Rory felt numb inside as she spoke. We should decide that this is a strictly marriage in name only arrangement between the two of us and leave all emotions out of it. Is that what you really want, Rory? Gabe's voice held a chill, cool and detached. I think we would have less arguments that way, so yes, I think it would be better. The walls were up around her heart, and she couldn't take any more pain or heartache. Something had shifted in her when Maddie had told her she wasn't good enough for Gabe. Rory realized it was really true. She would never fit into Gabe's world. Her husband looked at her for a full minute before he spoke. His tone was crisp and detached. If that's what you want, Rory. A sudden sadness swept over her. She didn't want it to be like this, but she didn't know what else to do. Her mind flooded with chaos, confusion, and anger. Fear coiled tight knots in her belly at the thought of being abandoned again. She'd experienced the pain of that once before, and was scared it would happen again. She desperately wanted her husband to love her, but it looked like that was not to be.